So today, everyone, we have a very special occasion. This is the first battle of the DSG Season 3 Draft League. We have the Urshifu Fighters versus the Shifty Sableyes. Oh my gosh, none of them have the rules.
Just take a second.
Oh boy. Alright, and we see both teams. So, from Nick or Shifty Sableyes team, we have Tornadus, Landorus, Cradilly, Mimikyu, Rotom Wash, and Marowak Alola. And Jason's team, of course, you see it on screen, but here we go again. We've got a Sableye, Torkoal, Urshifu, Sableye, Venusaur, and Gothitelle. So we're going to see how both players take this first game here. So it looks like Jason's locking in with the Sun in the back and the Gothitelle and Sableye in the front. And here we go, without further ado, the Urshifu Fighters and the Shifty Sableyes. We see the double genie lead from from Shifty Sableye side and Gothitelle Sableye from Urshifu Fighter side. Both shiny. Very cool. And I was aware before this fight started that this is a competitive Gothitelle, and Shifty Sableye is going to regret bringing that Landorus to start. Urshifu Fighters over here, very excited about that one. Looking for a Max Mindstorm and a Fake Out, doubling up into the Landorus. So we'll see what Shifty Sableyes decides to do here. Looks like the Dynamax does come out from the Gothitelle, which means no Dynamax from the opposing side and no switches from the opposing side. So there goes that Dynamax Gothitelle at +2 special attack. Pretty clever against the Landorus player. As we do see the Fake Out come off. Gonna stop that Landorus from moving this turn. We do see a Tailwind from the Tornadus. Going to flinch that Landorus, and Max Mindstorm is going to come off. One-shots the Landorus clean. Very, very good start for Urshifu Fighters here. Does set up the Psychic Terrain, though, which is going to stop that Sableye from being able to use Prankster moves on opposing grounded Pokemon. So it looks like his opponent is going to bring out Marowak. Looks like Urshifu Fighters has a plan for everything as they go, and it appears to be a switch. So it looks like they're going to switch here. The Shifty Sableyes does have Tailwind. We'll see if that Marowak is able to outspeed the Gothitelle with Tailwind, or if it is still going to underspeed it. As the mascot of the Shifty Sableyes on Urshifu Fighter's side switches out into the Torkoal, going to bring that Sun. As we do see a Dynamax from what is supposedly the Marowak Alola. So we do see that Marowak Dynamax as we were expecting. Let's see if we see a Max Ghost into the opposing Gothitelle. Weather Ball, going to do a respectable amount. And actually a Max Quake. into the Gothitelle, doing a fair amount of damage. And raising its special defense. So we're going to see if this Max Ghost can take out that Marowak. Does not take out the Marowak, but it does a ton of damage. Very good damage. It appears that the Urshifu Fighters is going to go for a Max Guard on the Gothitelle. We'll see if the opponent's going to read into this. As we see a Rain Dance. Wow. An impressive tech move for this week. Coming up against a Torkoal. Very cool. As the Max Phantasm does go into the Max Guard. And the Heat Wave comes off. Doing very minimal to both of the opposing Pokemon. Potentially thinking about a switch into another Pokemon. It appears to be a double switch. So Gothitelle is going to come out for the Sableye. And Torkoal for the Venusaur. We're going to see if the Shifty Sableyes has anything to counter this switch. As we do see the Weather Ball into that Venusaur slot. Going to do very minimal damage. Actually does quite a bit for what it is. And then a Max Ghost, which is going to go into that Sableye and cleanly one-shot it. So the opponent... Oh. My screen went blank for a sec. Oops. So that is going to cleanly knock out that Sableye and give the Urshifu Fighters a clean switch into the Gothitelle once again. So it does appear that the Urshifu Fighters is going to switch out that Gothitelle for the Torkoal. Going to set the sun, doubling the speed of that Venusaur. As we see a Protect from the Marowak. Good call there. And another Tailwind from Tornadus. As the Earth Power does go into that Protect. Looks like Urshifu Fighters here is going for a read that they attack into that Venusaur, going to protect that slot as the Weather Ball does come down to the Venusaur slot, and the Torkoal is going to get hit with the Boomerang. We'll see if this can KO. Looks like it's just short of the KO. Pretty dang close though. And the Earth Power is going to come out from the Torkoal and knock out that Marowak. Pretty crucial turn there for the Urshifu Fighters. As Credilli is their final Pokemon. I have never seen the shiny before, and that looks pretty awesome. Looks like Jason going for a potential sleep powder. Jason, the coach of the Urshifu fighters, and then Nick, the coach of the Shifty Sableyes. As we do see the weather ball, we're going to see if this is enough to knock him out. It does cleanly KO that Venusaur. So it is going to put Jason down to his last two Pokemon as the Credilli tries to go for an Earth Power. Gothitelle going to come out. As we do see one last attempt, it appears, with a fake out into the Credilli and a Heat Wave. Fake out does come first. And a critical hit. Weather Ball comes out onto the Gothitelle. Does it survive? No, it does not. So it's going to come down to a couple short turns from the Torkoal. Does miss the Heat Wave on the Tornadus, and that's gonna... Wow! That does an incredible amount of damage to the Credilli, revealing that it does have a berry. I have Papa Berry, as the opponent's Tailwind runs out. Not gonna matter too much against this Torkoal. You do see another attempt at a Heat Wave. So both players learning quite a bit of knowledge in that game. And it looks like Shifty Sableyes is going to take game 1. So we're going to go to game 2 now. We've got both players locked in and ready to go. Let's get this underway. Starting off for the Shifty Sableyes, we have another Landorus Tornadus lead. And on the Urshifu fighter side, we have the infamous Venusaur Torkoal lead. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Intimidate gonna come off, and then Drought. Obviously Drought being the slowest thing on the field, Torkoal is. So it appears that the Urshifu fighters may be calling that the opponent does not go for a Rain Dance, as they do Dynamax their supposedly Landorus. As we do see the Rain Dance come off. We will see a max Airstream into that Venusaur. Gonna cleanly KO it. No Focus Sash. And gonna get the speed up on the Landorus and the Tornadus. Heat Wave gonna come off, gonna do very minimal, see if we get a burn. We do get a burn on the Tornadus. Wrong one, but hey, it works out. And we do see the Gothitelle come out here. And it looks like Gothitelle is going to attempt a Trick Room. As the Torkoal is going to switch for the Escavalier, potentially predicting a Weather Ball. We'll see what the Shifty Sableyes does here to counteract this move. if they go for a attack into the Torkoal slot, it appears a Hurricane is the choice onto the Gothitelle, doing a lot of damage, and a Max Quake. We'll see if this was into the Torkoal slot. It was into the Torkoal slot, so not completely out of it yet. Screen keeps going black. As they do get the special defense boost, and Trick Room is going to come off from the Gothitelle. That burn going to tick away at the Tornadus, and we'll get to see what Urshifu Fighters decides to do. Correctly choosing to go for that Psychic move, as it is the best form of stab that it has. And it looks like a simple Protect from the Escavalier, maybe baiting out a switch or attack. This is still anyone's game. I have seen quite a few things happen with Torkoal in the back. As the Cradilly comes out, and the Escavalier does Protect. We saw that it was going to go for that. And let's see how much this Psychic does. And Psychic does a ton of damage. And another Max Quake coming off from the Landorus into the Escavalier again, trying to take out that Escavalier before it becomes a threat. That's going to be +2 special defense on that Landorus, going to make it very, very bulky, and a +1 on the Cradilly, which already has a very high special defense. Looks like there's going to be an Iron Head into the Cradilly slot, which is going to switch out into the Tornadus again. Interesting choice. And we see the Iron Head. Does this pick up the KO? It actually does. So no more threat of the Rain Dance from the opponent's side, as we do see the Psychic, which does not very much with those defense boosts, and an Earthquake. Does take out the Escavalier and bring the Gothitelle down to 7 HP. Very, very low. You can't count Jason out of it yet in the Urshifu Fighters. He's got a Torkoal to Dynamax and a Dream. We've seen Torkoal do many, many amazing things, and this is no exception. So we'll see if he can take this back with the Torkoal. As we do see Marowak from the opponent's side as their last Pokemon. Looks like Urshifu Fighters with no hesitation there, going to Dynamax that Torkoal with a Max Flare, and then a Shadow Ball into the Marowak, potentially reading the Marowak to not attack that Gothitelle. I think we could very simply see a Protect Earthquake from the opponent, or we could see a switch. Looks like there's no switch, so we are going to see this Dynamax Torkoal take its big form. We're going to see how much this Max Flare does to the Landorus. As we do see the Landorus Protect, actually not the target that I expected to protect. I do see the Max Flare into the Landorus slot. I'm going to do a modest amount. And Shadow Bone into the Cassie Berry. Still going to knock it out with that 7 HP remaining. If there is a Game 3, Nick will now know that the Gothitelle does have that Cassie Berry. So now it's just calling Protects. I expect, yep, the Landorus to switch out here. Into the Credilli. We're going to see how much the Credilli takes from this Max Flare. We'll see if it survives. Max Flare going to come off. Into the Credilli, going to one-shot it cleanly. There is a chance to miss Bone Meringue, which is one of the things that the Shifty Sableyes might have to take into consideration. Nope, looks like they do hit it. And it does roughly 50%. As the Trick Room ends, and it is now Torkoal versus Landorus and Marowak. Looks like Urshifu Fighters potentially calling a Protect from the Landorus. We do see a Rock Slide. Interesting. And the Bone Meringue does hit. And that's going to give Shifty Sableyes a 2-0 victory over the Urshifu Fighters. So that's going to be it for this match. You guys will have to stay tuned for the rest of the matches. We have 10 weeks of this, and I will, again, be streaming or videoing most of the matches. So I will see y'all next time. Bye.